I'm Cynthia Barber, Assistant City Manager for Community Engagement and Public Safety, and as I said, I'm welcome. We're so glad that you are here. We recognize that the role that the neighborhoods play in a strong and resilient community is very critical, and that's why we have you here today, because we know that if we have well-prepared neighborhoods, we have a well-prepared community. So we want to give you some updates today. We want to tell you the latest information we have about the storm, and even if we are blessed enough not to have the most significant impact, we believe every moment that we can spend preparing for a storm or in a situation like this, the better off we are as a community. So I certainly hope that you will view your time here as worthwhile today.
I want to first once again lift up in thought and in prayer those who have been directly impacted so far by these storms, both Hurricane Harvey that has ravaged big major parts of Texas and also Louisiana. And obviously, we're currently dealing with the potential of our own impacts from Hurricane Irma, who has, without a doubt, in every place she's been, left major destruction in her path. And so if we could just keep those communities and those impacted lifted in our thoughts. We thought it was really important to bring together our neighborhood leaders, those of you who take information, carry information, also care for your neighbors and your community in the most direct fashion possible. We actually consider you all our first responders, especially in incidences like this, natural disasters and otherwise, where you know your neighbors best, you know your neighborhood best. You're able to communicate pretty seamless information back to the government and to the official first responders, which is why we believe it's critically important that we equipped you with the knowledge and the skills and the tools that you need to communicate to the folks who you have their ear and folks who trust you and what comes from your mouth. And so we're thankful to the city for responding so quickly and pulling this together. I want to invite forward now my colleague, Commissioner Curtis Richardson, to bring a couple of welcoming remarks. Continue, obviously, you'll get some information tonight about the current path of the storm. But even if Tallahassee and Leon County doesn't appear to be in the direct impact area, know that this is a major and a big storm. And when you consider that Tallahassee, Leon County likely has something like 90% of tree cover over this city, wind, rain will undoubtedly have impact on our important infrastructure like utilities, like roads and stoplights and the like, not to mention debris that obviously impacts the normal order of business here. And so don't take your foot off the pedal. It's important that we remain vigilant, that we have a plan, and that we obviously take account of our neighbors, especially those who are more vulnerable when confronting these kind of natural disaster events.
Good evening. I first of all want to thank our city manager and his staff for organizing this event and bringing the neighborhoods together in advance of what could be another horrific event for our community. You know, these storms are on everybody's mind now. We are still not too far out from Hermine and the weather situation that followed Hermine, and now with Harvey and Irma and Jose following her. And so this is what's on everybody's mind, and we're being saturated, if you will, with information from the news media about what's happened in Houston now and what's happening now off of the Atlantic coast and is headed our way. Unlike Hermine, you know, we learned a lot of lessons from that. I want to commend the city manager and his staff for the job that they did in getting us back online in such a rapid time period, despite the damage that this community faced during that event. We certainly learned a lot of lessons from that. One is that we needed to engage our neighborhoods, because what we found was that there were many of our neighbors who were in a situation where they didn't have communication, they couldn't access resources, or they had conditions where they were confined to their homes and no one knew it. We had elderly people, we had those with medical conditions that couldn't get out of their homes. We had families that were trapped in their homes, and yet they had no way to communicate. And we had not prepared ahead of time for that situation. So this is what we're trying to do now in anticipation of what could happen, because the path of this hurricane is still right now not quite predictable. It gives us enough time, though, to prepare and to identify those neighbors in neighborhoods and communities throughout the city who may need help in the event of a weather situation that comes through that knocks out our electricity or causes the kind of damage that Hermine did just over a year ago. So that's the importance of why we're here this evening. And again, I want to thank the city manager and his staff for taking a lead role in bringing us together and providing this kind of information so that we can begin to prepare, putting together that bucket list, if you will, of items that we'll need in the event our utilities go out again and we have to survive, if you will, for several days or weeks.
There are a variety of different avenues that we are using to communicate with our citizens. The first of which is our Digitally app. If you currently do not have this app, please download it. It is available free for purchase from our Apple and Google Play stores. The great advantage about our Digitally app is it puts city services at your fingertips. So throughout the storm, you can report issues, fallen trees, things of that nature. So we encourage people to download the Digitally app. Another way that we are actively communicating with citizens is via talgov.com. This is our main web page. On talgov.com, we currently have a storm tracker that updates in real time. It shows the current location of Hurricane Irma. So it's a great resource. There's also other information about how to prepare senior citizens, how to prepare for your pet, things of that nature. Also on the web page is a map of current sandbag locations. So again, if you're interested in getting sandbags for your home, the sandbag locations are outlined on that map. Another way that we are communicating with citizens is through social media. Social media has been one of our greatest tools throughout our communications efforts. We have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, and an Instagram page, and the account names are COT News. We're routinely updating those pages all throughout the day. Typically on Twitter so far, updates have been coming every 15 to 20 minutes. Those updates are from us as the City of Tallahassee as well as our partners. So we will retweet things that the Red Cross is doing, that Leon County government is doing, that Leon County schools as well as some of our other agencies. So we do encourage you to follow COT News on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And lastly, we do encourage citizens to update their City of Tallahassee utility account information. We will likely use this information to contact you in a variety of different ways, be it a phone call, a text, or an e-blast. So please log on and update your information.
I want to echo what Heather said to start with. We all need to be prepared for the storm. We tell our employees, and have been preaching this for the last couple weeks and throughout the whole hurricane season, that we all have to have hurricane plans at home, because we're going to expect our employees to come to work and be at work to help restore service to all of our customers as quick as we can. We recognize the inconvenience of having power outages, but we live in a wonderful community with a lot of trees. As the mayor said earlier, those trees cause problems when we have windstorms and thunderstorms with impact in our overhead lines that cause the outages. Over half of our outages on any given period of time, and especially during a hurricane or tropical storm event, normally over half of our outages are tree related, and that ramps up during a storm like Hermine. Virtually all of our damage during Hermine was tied back to trees or tree related limbs, things like that. We have a emergency response plan that's in place that we update every time we go through an event like Hermine or the January storm. We have activated that set of procedures last week. We've been working with our utility partners really across the whole eastern half of the U.S. with the situation we face ourselves with today to schedule to bring in mutual aid, which is other utility crews from around the country that will come in and bolster up our staffing and help us do restoration. We find ourselves in a situation right now where after the storm in Houston, there are resources there, and then all the Florida utilities are like we are bringing in resources. So we've been talking to utilities as far away as Ohio about sending crews down here to Tallahassee to help us. Ohio, Nebraska, Louisiana, there are crews there, all that have been dedicated and willing to come here when we're ready to put them on the road. Our plans will be to have them here before, or at least near here before the storm hits. We won't have them in town while the storm's coming through more than likely, but we'll have them staged a few hours outside Tallahassee so that they can come in quickly after the storm passes and be matched up with our crews and start restoration activities. Our goal is to get everybody back as quick as we can, but we've got to do it in a safe, methodical process to ensure that both our employees and our customers and citizens are not exposed to dangers while we're doing the restoration.
I can share with you, our crews are already in the streets. They're cleaning ditches and drainage. There is some known areas in the community that normally it collects trash there, so they've been out on those streets and those areas. Also, we'll start to stage barricades for the roads that we do have information in low areas. So we're already working, we already have our troops. Our sandbag location, we open it from 10 and we'll continue to open till 8 at night. We do have staff. We already gave up 10,000 bags. We have plenty of sand, and we have about 90,000 bags we already gotten hold of. We have plenty of sands and plenty of bags. Also, we staff each location with our crews to help elderly and people that they need help, to help them bag, put the bag, send the bag, and put it on the trucks or cars. So we're already in the move. We're working. Our crews are already out there. We are in the planning stage for the operation. As you heard before, we learned from Hermine. We observed what happened in Houston, and we're learning from there too. On the other hand, we had crews ready to go and help in Houston. We had 3 crews on the sewer side with backup generators and pumps. We're ready to go there as soon as they call us. We'll put on hold on those until we see where we stand this week. We reach out to our partners and utilities to ask for additional generators and pumps so we can keep the system flowing. We went through a good exercise during Hermine that we lost power for all our sewer station, lift station, and water wells. But we were able, with the help from outside, to have backup generators on most of them and bypass pumps so we can get things flowing in the right direction. As a result, for what we have done, we haven't lost any customers during Hermine. Most of you, if you have water and sewer, we're still working. If you have natural gas, you still have hot shower there, and you can cook. I want to emphasize one thing that Heather mentioned earlier. Please, if you don't update or take this back to your communities, if they have a utility account, please update your information with cell phone and valid email. We would like to push notification to you in the event we notify you with any outages.
One of the things that I would ask for is patience, right? Gas stations, looking for water at grocery stores, right? We do need to prepare, but we don't want to have disruptions and behavioral issues and poor decisions over who's getting the last case of water. We've all been talking with our local vendors, and I hate to start mentioning by names because then I'm going to leave somebody out and they'll get mad at me, but you know, Costco's and Publix and Sam's and Walmart and Target, Circle K's and all the smaller stores, they are constantly getting new supplies in, whether it's water, gas, batteries. This is the time we all need to be neighborly. This is all the time we need to be patient with each other. wait our turn in line, get what you need, right? And then make sure that there's enough for other people who also need those things as well. We will be supporting the city's communication efforts also through social media. TPD also has a Facebook page, a Twitter account. We also are utilizing Nextdoor, which is a social media platform, or Facebook for neighborhoods. If you don't have an account set up with us yet, as far as your neighborhood through Nextdoor, you could reach out to us and let us know, and we will set one up for you. And it's a way for us to communicate directly with specific news geared towards your neighborhood. And that's something we've been using for about the last 6 months or so with some good success. So we'll be supporting and helping provide information as well. And then unfortunately, we do know that there's people who will try to take advantage during these situations. The Attorney General's office has already set up their price gouging hotline. That's very important information that's out there. If you see something that you believe or someone's doing price gouging, there's a toll-free number through the Attorney General's office, or you can contact the CDA and we can have somebody come out and at least start the investigation and the ball rolling. So if you see what you think is unscrupulous behavior from somebody selling products and for way more than they should, that's really unreasonable, then you can contact us and it'll be investigated, or the Attorney General's office. So those are just some things to keep in mind as we continue to prepare, and hopefully keep in mind all those people that we know are going to be impacted, and hopefully maybe they'll take a hard right and go way out to the middle of the Atlantic and we'll all be good.
First of all, plan early. I mean, that's kind of been the theme, especially if you're a user of special transportation. Plan your trip early. If you, in the last hurricane, ended up in a shelter, go ahead and plan a trip to the shelter. You can always cancel it if the hurricane doesn't come here, but go ahead and get in our system and have a plan for how you're going to get there if you have no other means of transportation. Secondly, our services plan to run as usual unless winds exceed 35 miles per hour sustained winds, at which point it's unsafe for us to operate our fixed route buses and our paratransit buses, and we'll have to shut down our system. So again, plan early. If the EOC activates the system that puts everybody in motion, Star Metro will be providing fixed route transportation directly from CK Steel Plaza to the designated shelters. The EOC will let us know what locations they were. I believe in the last hurricane they were Childs and Florida High, but they'll let us know at that time. So we will have direct transportation from CK Steel Plaza to the designated shelter locations. The last thing I have, and we found out today, we transport a lot of people with Dial-A-Ride to dialysis. Dialysis has let us know they are going to be closed Monday. So if anybody knows anybody who has a scheduled dialysis appointment for Monday, they need to call and get that rescheduled. They will reopen Tuesday at 10 a.m. First appointments start at 10.
Not to beat the horse, but you definitely want to have a plan. One of the things that wasn't mentioned about fire safety following power outages. People like to use, a lot of people use flashlights, but a lot of people also use candles. So if you cook with gas in your home and things like that, somebody might lift gas on, or you're cooking outside with LP gas, just be mindful of safety. Certainly, now's a good time to check your smoke detectors, okay? Fires still occur when there's no power. And sometimes when the power does come on, if there was a damage to the home or damage to the structure, there could be an increase for fire. So definitely check your smoke detectors, check your batteries. Most homes have, if you don't have one, contact 891-6600 tomorrow, and we can see about setting up a smoke detector install for you.
Back in, I think, early in June, somewhere there, in this very room, we launched the Neighborhood Prep Initiative, where we unveiled to the community, to neighborhood association, a very comprehensive approach to how to prepare in neighborhoods to weather, to respond to disaster. I know we have 7 neighborhoods that we are working with right now, and they're in various stages of prep. Norwood Estate is perhaps further down the road. I know Bethany Hills also down along the road, and we're really appreciative those neighborhoods that have really taken on this charge and begin to work through that process to get their neighborhoods ready for any type of disaster that might hit. But given this storm that is ahead of us, we know it's not likely that you'll be able to go through that full process to prepare for this storm event. So what do we want you to do? The main thing that we'd like for neighborhoods to do is to develop a neighborhood response team. That's the critical thing that we want you to do. Develop a response team. Block captains, team leaders, and perhaps an overall neighborhood prep person. That will be the person who will communicate back with us. Each neighborhood within the city has a neighborhood liaison. And I'm sure many of you are here tonight, you already know who your neighborhood liaison is. And we will be coordinating either with that neighborhood prep person or with the neighborhood president and messaging information, pretty much relaying some of the same things that will be available on COT or through our communications department. Another thing that we'd like for you to do, I don't know how much you would have the opportunity to do it, is a quick resource directory of skills and people that are available within your neighborhood to help neighbors to get back up and running, maybe to clear their driveway, especially if they're elderly, neighbors who may have tools that can be used. So to the extent that you can gather that, gather their, assess their willingness to help to get that neighborhood back up and running.
Once the storm passes, we have some resources that we're going to make available to the community in terms of comfort stations at 6 of our community center locations. Those will be the Tallahassee Senior Center, the Lawrence Gregory Community Center at Dade Street, Sue Herndon McCullum Community Center at Lafayette Park, this facility here at Walker Ford, the Jake Gaither Community Center, and Jack McLean Community Center. These facilities will be open from 9 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. There'll be cooling stations. We'll have activities for kids, activities for adults. It'll be a place that people, if they don't have power in their homes, can come in, charge their phones, and any of the resources that at those facilities that we have in terms of games, activities, video games, TVs, all that kind of stuff will be open and available at no charge to the public. We will also have available, should it be necessary for our community, our 3 main pools, the Wade Wehunt Pool at Myers Park, the Truesdale Aquatic Center on John Knox Road, and the Jack McLean Aquatic Center. They will be open free of charge for showers. Shower facilities will be available. And then as we have staff available, we will open those facilities as well for swimming. Again, if it's still warm outside, people don't have air conditioning, a great way for kids and families to cool off, entertain the kids a little bit if they're out of school. As soon as the roads are clear and we have power back at those facilities, we will make those available to the community, and we will use the communication methods that Heather talked about to keep everyone posted on when those facilities are up and running. Also, we are going to have teams that are going to be out working directly with the neighborhoods that John's going to talk some more about later. And part of the services that those teams are going to provide is to stock ice and water after the storm, again, as it becomes available at our local fire stations that are located in your communities, so that you can coordinate with your neighbors in your neighborhood to make runs to get ice and water if you need it. And we will also, again, have that information as to which stations have them when will be communicated out through the methods that Heather talked about.
Walking through what would be like